Hello, Falcoholics. What is up? Welcome to another Falcons film review here on the Falcoholic podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Knight, here to break down a frustrating Week 5 game against the Buccaneers. Partially frustrating, of course, because of the way the game ended. I will not be breaking that play down on film. I think we've all seen that play enough. I think we all know what went wrong on that play. The play roughing the passer heard around the world. So the only thing we can hope is that perhaps the NFL takes that. More likely they just look at what happened, in the Chiefs game because everybody cares about the Chiefs. And maybe they'll actually do something about roughing the passer because we all know that the state it's in now, it's untenable. It's not something that's going to be able to last. I mean, you could hear the frustration in the fans in Kansas City. It's bad for the product. It's like objectively, it's really bad for football. As much as I believe we need to protect players, like it's too far with the quarterbacks. We need to be trying to get malicious hits out of the league, but what they've done is they've tried to get all quarterback hits out of the league because now you could be flagged for completely clean sacks at any time. So it really puts defenses in an even bigger bind. It's egregious. We all know it. I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but frustrating end certainly to this game. We did see the Falcons rally, much like in the Rams game after falling down by a lot. They didn't have to come back quite as far in this one. And I think there was a legitimate chance they could have potentially won or tied it at the end on a final drive that they should have been granted, but we'll never know. At any rate, the Falcons were pretty much outplayed for much of the game to begin with, so that's still something that's a problem, even though they did mount a very encouraging rally and should have had a chance to win this game at the end. So there's certainly some things to like. The big key all around for this game is inconsistency. Inconsistency from the officiating. We saw 3 plays on that final drive, right, by the Bucs that were officiated incorrectly, with, of course, the roughing the passer being the most egregious example. We saw a lot of inconsistency from the Falcons offense, just really sloppy drops, off-target throws from Mariota, 5 sacks allowed, missed field goal that could have been crucial, right, because the Falcons could have potentially been in a position to tie the game if they get that field goal instead of missing it. So that could have been big. Also, probably make it a little bit harder for the Bucs to get that field goal before halftime. May have still given it up. Who knows? And honestly, it was just tough to watch this offense. Without Kyle Pitts, they just don't threaten anyone deep. And Marcus Mariota, that's part of the weakness of his game right now, is that they're just not able to hit any of these deeper throws. The accuracy is simply not there on a consistent basis, and that's a problem. It's a problem for this team. It's a problem for Mariota. It's a problem for all of us. So that's certainly something that's going to have to get cleaned up, and that may be eventually why we see Ridder, even though I think Mariota has did some really good things in this game, particularly as a runner, and we're going to get to that. But yes, the Bucs were basically able to sit in either cover 1 or cover 3, load up the box against the run and try to crowd out those short routes that the Falcons sort of rely on, those screens and things like that. They did a really good job of that for much of the game. The Falcons did start to get going late with the run game, with some Mariota scrambles, with some successful passing, just really good catches, honestly, from some receivers. But for most of the day, this offense was bogged down, and you could tell that the talent level was just not there to stand up to a secondary like Tampa Bay's. That they've got Antoine Winfield Jr. covering the slot. They've got Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, who are 2 of the better young corners in the league, and they were just able to smother every Falcons receiver not named Drake London and Olamide Zaccheaus getting a couple of plays in as he always does. But I don't think Mariota's not the passer to really excel against this type of defense where the receivers are going to be covered, and the ball's going to have to be in those tight windows. It's going to have to be on target for these guys to have opportunities to make clean catches. The ball was not always off target. Mariota's stats, of course, were very poor in this game, right? Not really any way around it. 14 of 25 passing for just 147 yards, 5.9 yards per attempt, and the 1 touchdown. He also took 5 sacks. I mean, Mariota was under pressure all day, so it's let's not pile on too much there, but that's certainly a big thing. But as a runner, Mariota had arguably his best day, and that's what the Falcons have to do with him going forward. Like if Pitts is not going to be out there, Cordarrelle Patterson's already out. They have to threaten with the quarterback run as much as possible, and Mariota continuing to run well would be a big part of that, and he certainly did that very well Sunday against the Bucs. We also saw some other players have some good days. Oh, and also please quarterback sneak more on third, fourth, and 1. Just please don't subject us to these bad third and 1 play calls like the one that Mariota was sacked on. Just this deep, long rollout, long developing play, to the tight end on 3rd and 1. Just unnecessary when you're running well, unnecessary in general. Mariota sacked on the rollout and just bad play. Just sneak it. Like if it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, the Falcons have executed every sneak they've attempted very well. And I think when you got a quarterback as good as Mariota at executing those sneaks, you just run that every time. Just take the easy layup. Don't make it complicated. I think the reserve receivers did actually step up. Obviously, Kaderil Hodge had that really brutal drop on the screen that may have had a chance to go for a touchdown. But I think other than that, he did have a good day. He stepped up and made some catches and tried to make some other very difficult ones as well. Lamine Zaccheaus, as always, is out there just not necessarily getting a lot of targets, but making them count. Had the touchdown, had another big catch for a conversion that was important. So that's always nice to see. I think all the running backs, too, had good days, right? Huntley, Algier, both, I think, looked respectable. Algier, not quite as efficient, only 3.5 yards per carry, but he did have some good runs and a nice catch and run. Unfortunately, that was called back, but that's something that he's shown he's been able to do. And Caleb Huntley, I think, ran very well. 8 carries, 34 yards for 4.2 per carry. And he had some really excellent runs. We're going to break down some of those today as well. I think Michael Pruitt deserves to be on this roster. I think I'd probably rather see Pruitt, considering the volume of this passing game, regardless of when Kyle Pitts comes back. I think Pruitt is a better asset for this team than Firkser or Felipe Franks, especially. Felipe Franks just does not look ready. Dropped passes, not an impact blocker in the slightest. He's just not it. I know Arthur Smith wants to make Felipe Franks happen, and maybe someday he can. But right now, he's not ready. Michael Pruitt is a terrific blocker. We saw it today. He only played 14 snaps, but I think, we saw him make some key blocks on several plays, and, earned like a 75 PFF grade for his plays and was just like a 70-plus run blocker and pass blocker. I think what he offers there for a team that's going to be running the ball so much, I think that's just more valuable than what Firkser brings as a receiver, what Felipe Franks brings in general. So even when Pitts comes back, I think we should see Pruitt as the tight end 3. That's my opinion. I hope that we do get to see that more, especially now that we know how run heavy this team wants to be. Having a more impactful blocker active, I think is the way to go for this team. So I do wonder if we will see Pruitt elevated at some point, like elevated again, possibly brought up to the roster eventually, because I think he's earned it. And as a receiver, he's no slouch. I mean, he's got some athleticism. I don't think he's quite what Firkser is, or what maybe Felipe Franks could be. Certainly, I think he's offered more in terms of proven production than Franks at this point. But nice to see Pruitt getting an opportunity. I think that's a guy that we need to see more of on offense. Defensively, this game finally saw Ebiketie take more snaps than Ade Ogundeji. So that was the first time that happened. Now, keep in mind that Ogundeji, I believe, did get hurt at some point, so that could be a factor. But Ebiketie did get a few more snaps. I think Ogundeji had a solid game in this one. I think he struggled pretty much every week before this, so it's nice to see him play a little bit better. Unfortunately, the injury, we'll see if that's serious or takes up any more of his time. But Ogundeji continuing to play well, especially as a run defender, is what this team needs. They need another run-stuffing edge to step up other than Lorenzo Carter, who is playing a lot of snaps for them. Also, Troy Anderson came in for Michael Walker after Walker went out. I thought Troy Anderson acquitted himself well. As a tackler, it's still not there. You can tell he's just bouncing off guys sometimes, but the speed, the ability as a blitzer, the coverage instincts, I think, are pretty good for Anderson, especially considering, what he is. And he just brings so much athleticism to that linebacking core that I think you just get him out there and you see what happens, especially like if Walker's out. Because let's be honest, Michael Walker wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire with his tackling this season either. I did think he was having a better game in this one. He really struggled in coverage in this, but again, he only played 45 snaps. So I think that he did struggle. And I think when Anderson came in, the defense did seem to improve. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. But tough game for Walker, and we'll obviously hope that his injury is not severe either, because you never want any of your starters, any of your guys, even if they're having down games, to go out. Without Anthony Rush out there, we did see an interesting thing, right, which is that Abdullah Anderson actually played a lot of snaps as the nose tackle. And Abdullah Anderson, not a traditional nose tackle, listed at under 300 pounds. He is 6'4" at least. We did see Timmy Horn play quite a bit of nose tackle as well. Abdullah Anderson, I greatly prefer. They lack a lot of size when they don't have a nose in there. I really don't think Timmy Horn is it. He had another sub 40 PFF day in the eye test. He did have a good pass rush. I think he did make one good play on a dump off to sort of try to slow down Fournette. But as a whole, I think you're not getting much out of Timmy Horn. And Abdullah Anderson, I think, offers you something as a rotational guy, and I like that. I think Matt Dickerson, he got his first play time in a while as well as another interior guy, and he was solid as a rotational player. So, I think they really need an impact nose for their run defense. That's probably going to be a big need in 2023 that we'll be talking about based on what's out there right now. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I thought just in general, Taquan Graham, another strong game from him, in my opinion. Grady Jarrett absolutely just dominated. He's having one of his best seasons, which is tremendous. Like I said, Abdullah Anderson, I was impressed with. Casey Hayward, I think, had his best game as a Falcon so far. Just really tremendous play and coverage. Some good tackling as well. So good for him. D. Alford has sort of officially taken over the third corner slot. He played 53 snaps compared to Mike Ford's 10. So he seems to have more or less won that battle. We'll see what happens when Isaiah Oliver comes back, but it seems like D. Alford has become the next man up on the depth chart, ahead of Darren Hall, ahead of Mike Ford. So that is an interesting development. Like I said, Trey Anderson played well. I thought Rashawn Evans has been really quite good, and especially as a coverage guy where he's been weak. I thought he's never a guy you want in man, but in zone, I think he closes really fast, and he's broken up some plays there. So I think I was impressed with that. And then Richie Grant, again, having a strong day. I think he's definitely become one of the most consistent players in the secondary, someone you can rely upon. So good day from those guys. The defense as a whole, of course, gave up, way too much. Another day where they gave up over 400 yards, right? But only 21 points allowed. The red zone defense, I think, has stepped up. That their scoring defense has kept them in games, but they held the Bucs to 40% in the red zone today, to just 205. So that's very good. So good for the defense. They did step up when they needed to. And also another shout out to Avery Williams on special teams with some really nice returns. I think he's certainly really evolved into a dynamic return threat. He had opportunities to break off a couple for touchdowns that were very close. So props to Williams. But yeah, guys, we're going to get into some plays here. Try to break down more positive stuff than negative, because I feel like this could have been a win, right? So we'll get into some plays that I found interesting here. But ultimately, the game leaves a bad taste in your mouth either way. We're not going to linger on this one for too long, but I do absolutely like the fight we saw from this team late in the game. All right, guys. Well, here we go. First play we're going to break down. This is the 4th and 1, where the Falcons got the stop here to keep the Buccaneers from scoring on this early drive. And we can see here the Falcons no longer have Anthony Rush, so we've got Abdullah Anderson at nose tackle here. We've also got Taquan Graham, Grady Jarrett, Ogundeji, and Lorenzo Carter out there. And the Bucs just need to get 1 yard, so of course everyone's expecting run here. And we're just going to see the Falcons do a really good job of plugging this up and taking away what the Bucs want to do here with Fournette. So we're going to see these gaps get filled. Dooley Anderson's going to come in here and have to fight off a double team, and he does end up shedding that. But really what we're going to see is Grady Jarrett's initial penetration really messes with this, and then Michael Walker filling this hole here, because this is where this is designed to go, right up here, because they just need to get to this yard. So they want to run it in there, but that's not what's going to happen because of Walker doing a great job of plugging that hole up immediately. Grady Jarrett getting some penetration. That's going to force Leonard Fournette to cut this wider, where he's going to be met by a gang tackle, including Ogundeji out here, and then Jalen Hawkins is going to come in, clean this up with some help from everybody else. Just a really well-executed defensive play here by the Falcons. Just really not letting him pound that in there and getting the team tackle here. So we'll watch that again real quick. You can see right here is this gap is where this is designed to go, right? Because you just need the yard right here. But you see Grady Jarrett taking on this double team. He's pushing these guys back, right? So they not really much room to go there. And as a result of him really holding those two guys up, Walker's going to be able to fill right here, plug up that hole. That's going to force Fournette to come this way, where he's just going to get smashed by Ogundeji, and we're going to be able to have Hawkins and other guys run over here and really clean up this tackle. Just really well executed up front. The Falcons find a way to get that stop and really cancel out what was a very promising drive initially for the Buccaneers. All right, folks. So next play we're going to take a look at here is a very good run blocked play here. Once again, showing off the ability of the Falcons offensive line and tight ends to create space. Algier is going to get this carry and do a nice job of reading the tacklers and picking up some additional yardage. But what we're going to see is some really nice blocks up front, particularly from Chris Lindstrom, who really gets out in space and takes out Devin White, the linebacker, and then Caleb McGarry does a great job of sealing off Raheem Nunez-Roche on the other side. Even Michael Pruitt, the elevated tight end, is going to get involved here, sort of walling Keanu Neal out of this play. So let's watch this unfold real quick, and then we'll break it down. As you can see, Algier's going to get this carry, and he's got a big hole right there to get through, and reads those blocks and takes us exactly where it needs to go. So basically what you're going to see here is these two guys are going to take care of Vita Vea. We're going to actually see Lindstrom he's going to run out here, take out Devin White, wall him out of the play. We're going to see Caleb McGarry here come in and just wall off Roche while Tyler Algier sort of takes it and then reads those blocks up there. We're even going to see Michael Pruitt get involved here and just sort of getting in the way of Keanu Neal on this block. Just well executed. And just watch how quickly Lindstrom gets out there and takes out Devin White. He just has no chance to get past him. That's that athleticism. Also see a really nice job by McGarry getting around. Roche is starting on the inside of him here, right? You're going to see there's Roche, and McGarry's going to have to get around him and wall him off without holding, which means he has to legitimately be on that inside. And he does a great job. Just a really nice execution by the blockers up front and a nice read by Tyler Algier to take that exactly where it needed to go and pick up those additional yards. Nice start for the run game, which put up 150 yards against the Buccaneers, who are known as having one of the NFL's best run defenses. So an impressive play there by the offensive line and Tyler Algier. All right, guys, this is actually one of my favorite plays of the game. Not entirely sure if this was actually schemed up this way or not, but it ends up being a really nice scramble by Marcus Mariota with the play design that sort of actually makes this really a smart decision by Mariota. If this wasn't the actual design of the play, it may be that this was always an option for him if he didn't like what the passing game looked like. But we're going to break down why this is such a good read by him. And if this is a deliberate play design, it's actually really smart. So the Bucs are going to be showing blitz here with Levante David, the linebacker. But he's actually going to pull out of that blitz while Devin White is going to be sent. And that's interesting, of course. They're trying to obviously fool Mariota a little bit there. But we're going to actually see the running back, Algier, go out on a route here. And as a result, the Bucs are actually playing man behind this blitz. So we're going to see Lavonte David go pick up Algier. They're playing this man coverage here on the wide receivers with these two high safeties behind it. So that means that Lavonte David's going to be chasing the running back, and Devin White's blitzing. And we're also going to see Jake Matthews take out his defensive end here, who is, I believe, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. And he's going to take him and work him back inside. And as soon as Tryon gets pushed out of the play, Mariota is just going to take off for a big gain because there's just nobody left to defend this at all. And because the defensive end gets blocked down and Lavonte David is covering Tyler Algier in man coverage, there's just nobody there. And even the designs of these wide receiver routes are going to sort of help this play work, right? So just watch this play in action. It's very interesting to see it unfold. And, it definitely makes me question if this was a deliberate part of the play design. Mariota, he just sort of pumps it, but then takes off. And look at all that space. He's got just a mile to run through. He's able to even slide down well past the first down marker. Just nobody home because of that blitz and the man coverage on the outside. And that's exactly what the Falcons need when teams are going to play man against them. They need to threaten the quarterback run. And nothing was open. So, clearly this was a good call. And you can see it happening right now, what I'm talking about, right? The edge player is getting blocked down. Tyler Algier is running out here, and David is following him. You got Zacchaeus clearing out that slot corner. You got Drake London down here taking out his guy. And once that edge rusher gets blocked down, Devin White's going to try to crash out here and create some pressure. Mariota just has all day, just infinite space essentially out there to get this play done. And he does. He executes really well. You can see how fast and dynamic and athletic he is. He still has that going in his favor. Tremendous runner in this game. Just a really nice play. All the aspects of it really came together. The way the wide receivers are out there doesn't make it seem like this was a designed run. I don't think this is a designed run. I think this is a play where Mariota, of course, has the option to run if he likes what he sees, and because of the coverage, because of the way the routes are run, he actually has a great opportunity to pick up a big play there. So very nice play design, executed well by Mariota, and Falcons get a big gain out of it. All right, guys, next play we're going to break down here is the deep attempt to Scotty Miller from Tom Brady that is broken up just absolutely perfectly by Casey Hayward. I think this is the best play I've seen from him in Atlanta. Just a textbook coverage here. Ball is underthrown by Brady, who's dealing with some pressure from Quentin Bell, the edge rusher, the deep reserve who was activated for the Falcons today. Bell does manage to get to him, not in time to really disrupt the throw, but probably at least affected it enough that Brady had to launch this a little bit earlier. But you guys are familiar with the play. The Falcons are going to be playing cover 3 here, which is leaving the corners sort of one-on-one on the outside, right? We got Mike Evans over here and Scotty Miller over here. And if I was the Falcons, I would be, of course, shading towards Mike Evans' side, right? Because he's a big threat. Casey Hayward going up against Scotty Miller, not necessarily a household name, but Miller has some juice, clearly. He's going to actually run past Casey Hayward over there, but Hayward is going to recover really well and flip himself around to break up this pass right in the end zone. Just textbook. Let's watch it, break it down some more. Falcons send a blitz, doesn't get home. Quentin Bell does create some pressure there. This pass looks like it has a chance, but it's underthrown just a bit, and just a tremendous play in coverage here by Casey Hayward. At first, Miller looks like he's going to run right past Hayward, right? There's no chance at all for the safety to get here. The safety sort of wisely going to Mike Evans' side of the field. But you can see Hayward gaining here, and Miller's having to slow down for this ball, of course, because it is a bit underthrown. And right here, this looks like what? This looks like, oh my gosh, this is about to be, pass interference because he's going to slam right into Miller. The refs are going to call that every time if he doesn't flip his head around. Right now, it's like, oh, well, he's not going to turn his head around, of course. But Hayward, he's a savvy vet. He's going to see Miller's hands go up for that pass, right, and just immediately flip around. Just really athletically, too. Just flip around and even get his hand on the ball. Just a really, really impressive play by Casey Hayward. You love to see that. Prevents what could have been a touchdown or a pass interference right at the 1. And just that's textbook coverage, guys. You flip yourself around, get a hand on the ball. If he had a chance, maybe if he had like another half second, I mean, there's a chance that's a pick because he has a chance to actually find that ball. But recovers really well to a fast player in Scotty Miller, flips around, breaks up the pass, no flag. Just tremendous textbook coverage from Casey Hayward. All right, guys, next play we're going to break down is going to be a nice blitz here by Troy Anderson, who is getting inserted into the game here after Michael Walker's injury. Unfortunately, the Falcons do lose Walker in this game to a groin injury. Troy Anderson comes in. And he plays, I think, pretty well. The tackling, obviously not there yet for him. Still very much a work in progress, but you could see the athleticism difference when he's on the field. It's really, really quite impressive. So on this play, we're going to see the Falcons playing zone behind it. We're going to see edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie actually drop into coverage here. Same thing with Richie Grant. He's going to drop back here. And we're going to see the Falcons blitz Anderson here. Lorenzo Carter with a decent rush here. He's going to get walled off by the tackle, however. And Troy Anderson's going to fight through the block from Leonard Fournette and is able to get to Tom Brady and force that throwaway. Big play here for the defense in the second half, desperately needing some stops to overcome what is a big deficit at this point. So we're going to see, just watch how much ground he covers. Troy Anderson just beats the block attempt from Fournette, and he's just on Tom Brady in an instant, even when he's been slowed down by Fournette. Just watch how quickly Anderson is able to clear all this space. I mean, he goes up, shakes off the hit, and it gets to Tom Brady before he's able to complete even a quick pass here. Just that athleticism is really impressive. And his instincts as a blitzer are good too. He's able to avoid just enough of that Fournette hit and maintain his momentum. He just sort of sidesteps it a bit. Fournette really lowers his head. Not great blocking there, right? Like, you need to make sure you're getting a little bit more. He's supposed to be running this sort of relief route here, too, so that's part of it. But because of how quickly Anderson's there, like, Tom Brady doesn't even have time to put that on him. And, of course, it's incomplete. Great play for the Falcons defense. Nice play by Troy Anderson, getting his real opportunity potentially to be a starter. Now that Michael Walker's been injured, hopefully Walker is not seriously injured. We will have to see more about that over the next couple days. But, considering how Troy Anderson's played, getting him more snaps, certainly not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, you hate that it would be at the expense of Michael Walker, who has gotten his chance to start here. But we'll have to see how that goes over the next couple days. All right, guys. Next play, we're going to take a look at another just really well-blocked play here. Really enjoy some of these block combinations that Arthur Smith's throwing out, and the team just executes really well here for a nice run by Caleb Huntley. Gets him just enough space for him to get into the open field, and then, of course, Huntley does the rest, absolutely running over the Bucs secondary here. Going to see a really nice block from Caleb McGarry to take out his guy on the edge. Chris Lindstrom and Drew Dahlman are going to get involved with their guys. We're actually going to see Keith Smith sort of motion down here, get into that gap, and take out Devin White, which is absolutely lethal to this play because the safety goes to the outside and leaves a big hole for Huntley to run through here. And Huntley's just going to squeeze through that little gap, avoid a tackle, and just rumble downfield for a big play. So let's watch this one in motion. You can see Keith Smith motioning down there, takes out the linebacker, and the safety just over pursues to the bottom. And then it's just all Huntley from there on out, just running through tackles from secondary players. The safety is supposed to have the outside here, right? You could see from this alignment that the linebacker's probably supposed to fill that, and the safety's supposed to fill out here, especially, if this edge guy is coming down. And Huntley, takes advantage by sort of knifing in there, and Smith makes a really good decision to block the inside guy, the linebacker. And it's just daylight after Huntley sneaks through there. Just nobody can get a hand on him, and then when they do, it's not a lot. And Huntley just pounds. You can see there's a chance here for number, I believe that's 95 or 96 of the Bucs, to get Huntley, but he can't. The arm tackle's not enough. Huntley just runs right through it. And it's daylight from there on out, with Huntley just absolutely running over defenders. Takes a couple to bring him down, and that's an excellent blocked run there. Very nice run after run yards after contact for Caleb Huntley, for a big run for the Falcons, who, like I said earlier, 150 rushing yards on the day. Very impressive. All right, guys, this is going to be another nice run play here. This is Avery Williams' first career touchdown, and he's going to put on a show after contact here. He's going to juke Keanu Neal out of his shoes to get into the end zone, but this is just a really well-executed run play again by the Falcons up front. We're going to see these three guys take out these two guys. They're just going to sort of swarm and block them out of the play. We're going to see some really tremendous effort here by Elijah Wilkinson to get just enough of Vita Vea, with some help from Jake Matthews here, to get Vita Vea on the ground. Then we're going to see some contributions from Keith Smith, who's going to take out Levante David, and McGarry's going to continue to climb and take out Devin White, and that's going to leave Avery Williams one-on-one with Keanu Neal, where he's just going to spin move and go right into the end zone for a very, very nice play that's set up by some excellent blocking out front. Let's watch this one play out. You can see those three guys sort of smash it down there. Keith Smith gets just enough of Levante David. Avery Williams with the spin move on Keanu Neal, and that's a touchdown. Right here, this looks like, these three guys, right, are getting these two. Wilkinson's getting enough edge here to keep Vea from getting past him. Right now, this is, pretty neutral, but we're going to see a really, Caleb McGarry get off his defender here, go down and take out Devin White. We're going to see a really nice block from Keith Smith to take out Levante David. And then we're going to see, of course, Avery Williams just with an opportunity one-on-one versus the safety Keanu Neal, and he's going to beat him for the touchdown. Just a really nice play, really well executed by everyone, and just really nice contact balance, right, from Avery Williams. Not a particularly large runner, does have that dynamic speed, does have that return ability, and you can just see when he gets the ball in his hands, he has some of that Patterson to him, right, where he's just really smart knowing where to go with the football. He's good at making defenders miss. Not the biggest guy, not necessarily the physical presence, but he's got good contact balance. And if he gets daylight in front of him, he's a guy that's going to be dangerous. He showed it in this game. Very close to some potential return touchdowns too. And if you open up holes for him, he's going to be able to get you some yards with that speed and that dynamic athletic ability. Very nice play from the offensive line. Keith Smith with another key block here, and of course Avery Williams does the rest, beating Keanu Neal for the touchdown. Very nice play. One of my favorite ones in this game. All right, guys, final play we're going to take a look at. The Falcons' second touchdown in this game. The Mariota completion to Olamide Zaccheaus, who takes this one into the end zone. This is a really well-designed play to beat what we know the Bucs love to do, and that's blitz. Bucs have been blitzing Mariota a lot in this game. They were effective at it. Mariota was sacked 5 times in total. They were very good at getting pressure on him. This is a play designed to take advantage of that aggression. We're going to see Anton Winfield, the slot defender, blitz here, which of course is going to leave Zaccheaus with nobody covering him directly. And he's just going to sit down in this zone and catch the pass from Mariota, who sees the blitz and knows that Zaccheaus is the hot route, right? He's going to be the guy that's open here if the slot blitzes. And Devin White's supposed to sort of pick up this area, but he can't get there in time. And then it's just Zaccheaus one-on-one with the safety for the touchdown, which, of course, he executes really well. Really well-designed play to beat a tendency of the Bucs that we all know. And it was the perfect play call in the situation, and it beats this aggression from the Bucs. So you're going to see the blitz come. Zacchaeus just going to drop in that zone, defeat the tackle attempt from the safety, and that's a touchdown. Just, again, really well-designed. As soon as this blitz comes, this ball is basically getting out. Like, Mariota sees it immediately. He's like, all right, he's open. Gets this ball out before the linebacker has any chance to react. Like, it's incredible how quickly this was thrown, right? Like, the fake happens, and this ball is already coming out. Just really nice stuff from Mariota. That's a great on-target pass under immediate pressure. Hits that hot route, and Olamide Zacchaeus does the rest, right? Just goes right through the safety for the touchdown. Very nice play from the offense that was really starting to sort of hit its stride late against the Buccaneers. Real shame, of course, how it ended. We didn't get to see this offense get a chance with about 3 minutes left or so left in the game to potentially go and score a touchdown to win it. Obviously, we know how that ended. We're not going to break that down. But, yeah, impressed with how they recovered after a very slow start in this game after a lot of inconsistency. They really started to hit their stride late. Unfortunately, it was too little too late combined with the official assist late in this game. But love how they rallied back. Really like these final 2 touchdown drives. Some nice run blocking and some nice passing concepts from the Falcons and Arthur Smith. Well done here. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. The Falcons against the Bucs here in Week 5. We saw a pretty good effort from the team, especially late in this one, but not quite enough to overcome the struggles with the inconsistent officiating. And, you know, I really did lean into more positive plays in this one. I think we were all frustrated enough with the way it ended. We know how this team looked in the first half. But overall, despite them sort of being in a big hole at one point in this game, it was really just a few mistakes on offense, some untimely penalties, some sloppiness, a missed field goal that kept them really down early. I don't think the offense as a whole was like that bad in this one necessarily. So I think that, you know, this is probably better than it looked on the scoreboard. This team really should have scored more points, but that's part of it, right? Like, you can't have the drops, you can't have the bad throws, you can't have the mistakes, you can't have the missed field goals against good teams and expect to win as the like 10-point underdog, right? Which is what the Falcons were in this game. I think they could hang with the Bucs, and I expect we've seen it enough times with the Falcons against quality opponents now that I think they're going to be able to hang with most teams. They seem well coached. They seem like they're playing hard. We just got to cut down on the mistakes, and it's very difficult, of course, when you're down, you know, arguably your biggest offensive weapons in Kyle Pitts and Cordarrelle Patterson. This is an undermanned team, but they were still able to run the ball. Marcus Mariota was able to run more, and I think slide very intelligently. They can still run block. This is a good defense, despite the Bucs sort of being a little bit lower on the totem pole than they usually are against the run. This is still a very good run defense. And the Falcons are going to have an even more difficult test this week against the 49ers, who unfortunately did suffer some injuries. We'll have to see how that checks out. I know starting corner Emmanuel Mosley, who had a pick 6 last week, he is out for the season with a torn ACL, so that's very unfortunate. Nick Bosa left that game with an injury. We don't know if he will be playing or practicing this week at all. That's definitely one to monitor. But even with a few of those injuries, the 49ers are the number 1 defense. They are the number 1 run defense as well, holding opponents to just 3.0 yards per carry on the season. Very difficult matchup coming up, but I expect the Falcons to play hard and keep that game close as well. The 49ers offense isn't really striking fear into anyone's hearts right now. Neither is the Falcons defense, so we'll have to see, you know, if they could take advantage perhaps of, you know, some injuries and some inconsistencies from the 49ers to try to steal a win. You know, it's going to be a really tough game, but I think we saw some fight in this game against the Bucs. We all would have liked to seen if they could, you know, finish and get that opportunity to defeat their division rival, get that W over Tom Brady, but we all know how that happened, and we'll have one more shot at the end of the season. But I do like the fight that they showed. I think this was a good effort. They really cleaned up late, they were able to string some drives together, keep the Bucs offense really in check for much of this game. They certainly gave up a lot of yards, but they really tightened up when they needed to. That's what's important, right? The points are what matters. They could have 1,000,000 yards. If they don't score any points, it don't matter. So, so far, I think both sides of the ball are outperforming what we saw last year. I think the defense still has a ways to go, as does the offense. We know sort of the state of it right now, right? It's kind of limited, especially with the passing game. Kyle Pitts out, Cordell Patterson out. This is a tough stretch, tough opponents. I think they did enough to have a chance to win at the end of this one, and we'll just hope that can keep going over the rest of the season. But so far, better than expected. I think this was a 10-point underdog going on the road, right? And they played hard. They kept it close. The Bucs were definitely sweating at the end of this one. Wish we could have made them sweat a little more, but it is what it is, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in to Week 5's Falcons film review. Please do like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed this. If you want to see the clips that I'm referencing in the podcast, you could definitely go check it out on YouTube to get the video version as well. Please do check us out on Patreon if you're interested in supporting the show. It's patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. Lots of great perks, including early access to all episodes, including this one, as well as ad-free versions of all the episodes, and a patron Q&A we do once a month where we take all the patron questions that you guys can send in. So thank you guys again for tuning in. We will see you next time on the Falcoholic Podcast and the Falcoholic Live. Next show will be Wednesday at 8 p.m. for our live flagship program. Until then, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time on the Falcoholic Podcast. I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. Have a great day, folks.